You stand up fast. The room tilts for a second. You're stronger than you've been in years. But that wobble has nothing to do with your strength. I watched a stronger man than me go down on a bathroom floor. So which of your 3 balance systems is actually failing? Stay to the end. You'll know before your body decides. I'm Atlas Reed. Subscribe. You belong here. Point 1 right now, one of 3 separate systems responsible for keeping you upright is losing ground, quietly without a single symptom you'd notice from a mirror. And most men over 60 don't find out which one until the day it fails them. Balance was never one thing. It's 3, your vestibular system in the inner ear, your vision, and the proprioceptive sensors in your joints and feet that tell your brain where the ground actually is. All 3 feed the same signal to your brain constantly, and all 3 start fading on their own separate timelines the moment you stop paying attention to them. I think about my father here. He'd been a physically powerful man his entire life, the kind of strength that never seemed like it would need protecting. Then one afternoon, he reached for a towel rail on wet tile that wasn't where he thought it was, and went down. He never fully trusted his own legs again after that. His strength had nothing to say about it, because strength was never the system that failed. Picture a 3-legged stool. If one leg shortens by a fraction of an inch, the stool doesn't collapse. It just gets less stable, in a way you might not notice until you're leaning the wrong direction at the wrong moment. That's what's happening inside the balance system of most men over 60 right now, one leg at a time, long before anyone calls it a problem. At 61, 3 years into rebuilding strength he'd let slip in his 50s, Atlas watched a stronger man than himself lose his footing over something strength never touches. The research on it says balance draws on the vestibular, visual, and proprioceptive systems almost entirely separately from muscle mass, which is why a strong man can still go down. So if it isn't strength failing first, which of these 3 systems actually goes first? And how would you know? Point 2, start with the inner ear because it usually goes first and quietest. The clinical term is presbyesthesis, the age-related decline of the vestibular system, the part of your inner ear that tells your brain which way is up when your eyes and feet disagree. Past 80, more than half of adults deal with dizziness or imbalance serious enough to disrupt daily life. That number doesn't start at 80. It starts building decades earlier in a system nobody's checking. This is what doesn't get checked at a normal physical, not because it doesn't matter, but because nobody asks. Your doctor checks your blood pressure, your cholesterol, maybe your blood sugar. Balance and fall risk are rarely part of that conversation for men in their 60s who feel perfectly fine. So the decline runs quietly in the background, unmeasured for years, right up until the day it isn't quiet anymore. Would that be worth $69 on its own? Maybe. But here's what makes it worse. Muscle is fading on its own separate clock at the same time. Men lose 3 to 8% of their muscle mass per decade after their physical peak, and that rate accelerates past 60. Somewhere between 10 and 16% of community-dwelling adults over 65 already meet the clinical criteria for sarcopenia, measurable, diagnosable muscle loss. Balance doesn't fail all at once. It fails one system at a time, quietly, vision, the inner ear, the muscles, until one ordinary afternoon asks for more than what's left. Here's the part most men never hear. These systems don't fail on the same schedule or announce themselves the same way, which means the version of working on your balance that actually works has to identify which system is going first, not just add a wobble board to a workout and call it done. Point 3, and that gap, knowing which system is actually failing versus guessing, is exactly why so many men wait until an incident forces the issue. Between 20 and 39% of older adults already report a fear of falling before anything's happened, and that number climbs as high as 73% in those who've already had one. That fear isn't irrational. It's your body registering a signal you haven't been trained to read yet. There's research behind every part of this, so nobody has to take it on faith, and identifying exactly which of your 3 systems needs the work first, instead of guessing, is exactly the systematic assessment that Still Standing After 60 walks through step by step. It's linked in the description below. If you're watching on TV, scan the QR code on screen now. 1 tool, 3 systems. No more guessing which one's actually the problem. Point 4, because here's what guessing costs you. The fear of falling cycle doesn't wait for you to figure it out on your own. A man notices he's less steady, so he starts avoiding the situations that made him feel that way. The stepladder, the uneven trail, getting down on the floor with a grandkid. Every avoided situation feels like caution. It's actually the opposite. The systems that maintain balance only stay sharp with use, which means avoidance doesn't protect the balance you have left. It accelerates the loss of it. That's the trap. And it's the reason so many men who felt steady a few years ago are reaching for a handrail today. Not because their body failed all at once, but because they quietly stopped asking it to do the things that kept it sharp. Nobody decides that on purpose. It happens one small skipped moment at a time. The ladder left for someone else, the uneven trail traded for the paved one, until avoidance has quietly become the whole strategy. So here's what I want you to do right now. Wherever you're sitting, stand up. Find something solid nearby, just in case. Lift one foot slightly off the floor, and time yourself with your phone, or just count in your head. 10 seconds on one leg, without touching down or grabbing something, is the number researchers associate with meaningfully lower fall risk. Try it on both sides. Don't guess your number, know it. That number just told you something true about your own balance that a mirror never could. Now you know something concrete. Not, I feel a little less steady lately, but an actual number on an actual system today. Point 5, here's how it all connects. Balance was never one thing to protect. It was 3 things, aging on 3 separate timelines. And the fear a lot of men feel isn't weakness. It's an accurate signal from a system that's been quietly asking for attention for years. The stepladder, the uneven trail, the floor with your grandkids, none of that has to become off limits. It becomes off limits when the avoidance starts, not when the decline does. A man who knows exactly which of his 3 systems needs the work isn't managing decline. He's the man still doing the thing everyone else got quietly stopped doing. Still first off the tailgate, still down on the floor and back up without a thought. Still the one nobody worries about on the stairs. That's not luck. That's a man who found out which system needed the work before the floor decided for him. If this is still new information at this point, that's exactly the gap this channel exists to close. The 3 systems that keep you upright, inner ear, vision, and the sensors in your joints and feet, don't ask permission before they start fading. They just quietly draw down one at a time until one afternoon they ask for more than what's left. That's exactly the gap this system was built to close. Not another workout to add to your week, but a way to find out which of your 3 systems actually needs the work first, so you're training the right thing instead of guessing. Still Standing After 60, the complete independent system, walks you through assessing all 3 balance systems individually, so you stop guessing and start training the one that's actually behind. It's linked in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen right now. Every year this goes unaddressed. The systems doing the compensating for the one that's failing get quieter about it, which is exactly why the men who wait for an incident to force the issue always wish they'd started sooner. This isn't about urgency. It's about doing on your own timeline what the floor will otherwise do on its own. If this is the kind of training intelligence you want every week, subscribe. We put out videos weekly, and everyone is built for men serious about staying independent. I'm Atlas Reed. Keep doing the work.